You ever have one of those nights where everything in your life finally lines up? The job, the confidence, the future you've been chasing for years. And then some stranger decides in 10 seconds that you don't belong there. Yeah, that happened to me. And the craziest part is, the woman who tried to shut the door on me probably thought it was just another normal shift. She had no idea that a single sentence was about to blow up her career, a restaurant's reputation, and change the direction of my life in a way neither of us could have predicted. So let me tell you what happened. It was a Friday night in downtown Chicago, one of those warm evenings where the city feels alive, people walking fast in nice clothes, restaurant patios buzzing that low hum of conversations, and clinking glasses floating out onto the sidewalk. I had just gotten out of a rideshare standing there for a second, looking up at the sign for this restaurant I'd been wanting to try for months. Levard House. Fancy place, the kind people post about on Instagram when they want to look successful. Wine wall dim lighting, white tablecloths, the whole thing. And I wasn't just there randomly. That afternoon, my boss had called me into a conference room, slid a folder across the table, and said the words I'd been working towards since my early 20s. Maya, we'd like you to step into the role of Director of Digital Strategy. I remember just staring at him for a second because it didn't even feel real. I grew up above a corner grocery store in Cleveland. My mom worked nights at a motel front desk. My dad fixed transmissions all day with grease under his fingernails. Promotions like that didn't happen to people from my neighborhood very often, you know what I mean? But I worked for it. Late nights, weekends, campaigns that kept me at my laptop at 2 in the morning. And that day, it finally paid off. So I wanted to celebrate. Nothing crazy, just a good dinner, a glass of champagne, maybe sit there for a moment and let the whole thing sink in. And yeah, I dressed for the occasion. I wore this emerald green cocktail dress I'd bought months earlier after landing a big campaign bonus. $400. For some people that might not sound like much, but growing up the way I did, spending that kind of money on a dress felt almost irresponsible. But it looked incredible. Tailored, perfectly knee-length, classy, bold without being over the top. I checked the restaurant's website beforehand too. Smart casual attire, that's what it said. This dress was way nicer than that. Hair done, makeup, simple black heels polished. Walking up to the entrance, I remember thinking, this is it. This is the life you worked for. Then I stepped inside, and the mood shifted so fast it almost gave me whiplash. Behind the host stand was this young woman, maybe mid-20s, blonde ponytail, arms folded across her chest like she was guarding the gates to some exclusive club. Her name tag said Lauren Whitfield. She looked up at me, paused for a second, and then did that slow head-to-toe glance people do when they've already decided something about you before you even speak. No smile. No good evening. Just a small tilt of the head. We have a dress code here, she said. I blinked, kind of confused. Okay. She gestured vaguely at my dress. That outfit isn't appropriate for our atmosphere. Now I looked down at myself, actually wondering for a second if something was wrong with my clothes. But no, everything was exactly how I left the house. I'm sorry, I said, still polite. This is a cocktail dress. Lauren's lips curled a little. Elegant isn't the word I'd use. That was the moment something inside me tightened. You know when you realize a conversation isn't really about what someone is saying on the surface? Yeah, that feeling. What do you mean? I asked. She leaned forward slightly, lowering her voice like she was explaining something obvious. It's just a little loud. Then she said the word. Honestly, it's giving ghetto. For a split second, the entire restaurant lobby went silent in my head. Conversations still happening around us. Glasses clinking somewhere in the dining room, but it all felt distant, like someone turned down the volume on the world. Because that word coming from someone like her, it wasn't about fabric. It wasn't about color. It was about me. Excuse me, I said quietly. She shrugged. I'm afraid we can't seat you tonight. Now, most people imagine scenes like that turning into a shouting match. People raising voices, security getting called, someone storming out. But here's something I learned working in corporate environments where you're sometimes the only black woman in the room. Anger gets used against you real fast. The moment you react emotionally, suddenly, you're the problem. So instead of snapping back, I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and started recording. My voice stayed calm. If you're refusing my reservation, I said I'd like to speak with the manager. Lauren smirked like someone who thought she had the upper hand. I'll see if he's available. The way she said it had that little edge of power behind it. I nodded. I'll wait. A few minutes passed. People walked in, some glanced at me standing there with my phone in my hand, maybe wondering what was going on. I stood there reminding myself who I was. I'd just been promoted to director. I managed campaigns worth millions of dollars. I wasn't about to be intimidated by a podium and a name tag. Finally, the general manager came out. Tall guy, early 40s, suit slightly loosened like he'd been dealing with a busy dinner rush. Good evening, he said. I'm Richard Cole, the manager. I understand there's an issue. Before Lauren could jump in with her version, I spoke. Yes. Your hostess told me my dress violates your dress code, described it as giving ghetto, and refused to seat me. Richard's eyebrows shot up immediately. Lauren cut in, I didn't say it like that. I held up my phone. That's okay, I said softly. I recorded the conversation. Then I pressed play. And there it was. Her voice clear as day. We have a dress code here. That outfit isn't appropriate. It's a little loud for our atmosphere. Frankly, it's giving ghetto. You could actually see the color drain from Richard's face while the audio played, because the moment he heard that word, he understood exactly what kind of situation he was standing in. Restaurants are public accommodations. Discrimination lawsuits can destroy businesses overnight. When the clip finished, he slowly turned to Lauren. Did you say this? Lauren crossed her arms like she still thought she was right. I was just enforcing standards. Richard inhaled slowly. Go wait in my office. What? Now. She stormed off down the hallway. Then he turned back to me. Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter, he said carefully. I am deeply sorry for what just happened. I studied his face. He looked genuinely shaken. But apologies alone don't fix things like that. First, I said calmly, this needs to be documented. The footage, the recording corporate should see it. Absolutely. Second, I continued that hostess shouldn't interact with another guest tonight. He nodded. She won't. Then I added something that surprised him. And third, I still have a reservation. For a second, he looked relieved. Of course you do, he said quickly. Please allow us to seat you at our best table tonight. Dinner will be complimentary. Part of me wanted to walk out. Really did. But another thought crossed my mind. If I left, Lauren would have still accomplished what she wanted, making me feel like I didn't belong there. So I smiled slightly. I'll stay. Richard personally walked me to a table near the wine wall. People watched as we passed, some curious, some pretending not to notice anything at all. I sat down, ordered a glass of champagne, and finally took a breath. Because the night I thought was ruined wasn't over yet. Later that evening, I posted the video online, not angrily, just explaining what happened. I went out to celebrate a promotion tonight, I wrote. The hostess told me my dress was giving ghetto and refused to seat me. Here's the recording. Within hours, it spread everywhere. Thousands of comments. Women sharing their own stories about dress codes being used as excuses to push them out of certain spaces. News stations started calling the restaurant. By the next morning, headlines were everywhere. The restaurant fired Lauren immediately. But the story didn't stop there. A civil rights attorney watched the video and told me something interesting. This, he said, is a textbook discrimination case. Because under federal law, businesses can't deny service based on race. And when someone uses language like that while refusing service, it reveals intent. The restaurant tried to settle quietly at first. $10,000 free meals, the usual stuff companies offer when they hope something goes away. I declined. This isn't about dinner, I told them. After months of negotiations, the settlement ended up in the low six figures. And here's the twist nobody expected. I used part of that money to start my own marketing agency, a boutique firm helping underrepresented brands tell their stories without being filtered through someone else's stereotypes. 6 months later, my name was on the door. Founder. Meanwhile, Lauren. Her name stayed tied to the story online. Employers Google things now. That one sentence followed her everywhere. And people still debate whether she deserved to lose her job over it. Some say yes, some say it was too harsh. So now I'm curious what you think. If I hadn't pulled out my phone and recorded that moment, do you think anyone would have believed me? Would the manager have sided with me, or would it have just been another situation where someone quietly gets turned away and nobody ever hears about it? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you've ever experienced something like that yourself, I'd honestly like to hear your story too.